they know somebody who was killed by a COVID vaccine.
Killed?
Killed.
Woke media panics about RFK Jr., Trump's HHS pick. Imagine a world where two of the most powerful institutions, the mainstream media and the pharmaceutical giants, are challenged by one man. A man who dares to question the narrative they push, the drugs they promote, and the truth they sell. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. isn't just another political figure. He is a lightning rod, a bold voice that has shaken up the status quo. And now, with an appointment to lead the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, he could rewrite the rulebook on public health. But will his unconventional rules spark a revolution or tear everything down? RFK Jr. is a member of the well-known Kennedy family and is famous for his work on environmental and health issues. He has carved his own path as an environmental activist, lawyer, and outspoken critic of the pharmaceutical industry. His book, The Real Anthony Fauci, claims that the former National Institute of Health official worked with pharmaceutical companies to profit off of COVID-19 vaccines. Kennedy has also spoken about the Centers for Disease Control and the Food and Drug Administration, pointing out that people often move between agencies and the industries they oversee. The media reacted critically and quickly to Kennedy's nomination.
The negatives about Bobby Kennedy Jr. are single-handedly disqualifying of him as an even remotely serious presidential candidate.
Many major news outlets focused on his controversial views about vaccines, often calling it dangerous information. Kennedy has often said that the media works with pharmaceutical companies to block opinions that go against health policy. His clashes with social media also show this tension. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Kennedy's posts that question effectiveness were often flagged or removed. Because of this, he strongly supports free speech and accuses media companies of silencing different opinions.
And the way I'm very grateful, by the way, to Erin Burnett. As you know, CNN has not let me on for a live interview in a decade, and she did that. She was very, very courageous. She gave me a very fair interview. I was really dumbfounded about how fair it was.
The media focuses on RFK Jr. because he often criticizes how they can influence public health stories. The pharmaceutical industry, however, is more concerned about his strong opposition to their actions. Kennedy has spent so much of his career challenging drug companies and their impact on health policies.
Well, yeah, before that, it was the EPA that I probably 20% of my environmental cases were against federal and state agencies who were doing sweetheart deals with the industries they were supposed to regulate.
One of the most significant areas of concern for the pharmaceutical industry is Kennedy's skepticism regarding vaccines. His public statement about the dangers of vaccines and his advocacy for vaccine choice have made him a lightning rod for controversy. While Kennedy is not outright anti-vaccine, his stance on vaccine safety and government-imposed vaccination schedules, especially those given to children, has called for more independent research into vaccine safety. One of Kennedy's key areas of focus has been advocating for alternative medicines and treatments that challenge the dominance of pharmaceuticals. He has constantly argued that the industry often overprescribes medication and fails to address the root cause of illness. The criticism strikes at the heart of the pharmaceutical industry's business model, which relies heavily on the continued use of prescription drugs. Kennedy's advocacy for alternative treatments and his call for more natural approaches to health are seen as a direct threat to the industry's bottom line. Another significant concern for the pharmaceutical industry is Kennedy's criticism of the drug approval process.
Some categories, I would say.
What does that look like? Yeah.
In some categories of workers, there are entire departments, like the nutrition departments at FDA, that have to go.
He has questioned the rigor of the clinical trials and the speed at which the Food and Drug Administration approves new drugs. In particular, he has raised alarms about the safety studies conducted by drug companies, accusing them of using trial data to ensure their products are approved. The critique of the FDA's role in overseeing drug safety is a direct challenge to the pharmaceutical industry's control over the regulatory process, which many argue has become too cozy with the very companies it's supposed to oversee. For many health professionals, Kennedy's views on vaccines are a red flag. Vaccination campaigns have historically been one of the most effective public health strategies, leading to reduced mortality rates and eradication of diseases like smallpox. Kennedy's skepticism about vaccine safety, despite overwhelming evidence supporting their efficacy, has led experts to question his suitability for the role. They argue his leadership could undermine confidence in vaccines and embolden anti-vaccine movements. Additionally, Kennedy's criticism of regulatory agencies raises questions about how he will manage them. Will his approach improve accountability, or will it destabilize the institutions responsible for safeguarding public health? Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s appointment as HHS Secretary represents a turning point in U.S. health policy. His leadership could disrupt the status quo, challenging the pharmaceutical industries and reshaping how health narratives are communicated. Whether this disruption leads to meaningful reform or widespread chaos will depend on how Kennedy navigates the complexities of the role. His tenure could either restore public trust through transparency and accountability or deepen divisions in an already polarized health landscape. In the coming months, all eyes will be on Kennedy as he begins this new chapter. For better or worse, his leadership will undoubtedly leave a lasting impact on American health policy. Get a similar look at the woke backlash to Trump's recent pick for Director of National Intelligence in one of the most recent videos. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for more.